Hornets! Welcome back to another episode of The Buzz About Books. Hope your summer started off great and you're already looking forward to all of the journeys you'll be having in these next few weeks. Today we have more books, more events, and even more adventures for you to enjoy. First, if you read any of the books that were featured on last week's show, please share what you thought on our Facebook page. And here are some trivia questions based on each of the books. Go online to answer the questions and see if you can win. 1. What special poem is given to Cassia by her grandfather? 2. Which of the three girls had the easiest time in school and was known for making surprisingly good grades? 3. What two articles of clothing did Gladstone completely insist on wearing every time he left the house? Thanks for playing along. If you don't know the answer to any of the questions, you should definitely head to your local library and grab these books because they are awesome reads. Now this week I found 3 more books at the local library that I'm sure you'll absolutely love. The first is 47 by Walter Mosley. The story takes place in 1832 on a depressing plantation in the Deep South. But this is not your average historical fiction story. This book is so different from others of its kind that it's as if it comes from another galaxy. A young slave who is only known by the name 47 lives in misery, working hard to pick cotton from before the sun comes up to well after it has gone down, until he meets a strange young slave by the name of Tall John, who talks, acts, and lives in a way 47 has never seen before. Tall John does not come from the Deep South. He doesn't come from Africa. He doesn't even come from this world, but why he has come to Earth to find 47 is a mystery, especially to 47, who is scrawny and often feels unimportant on the plantation. The story you are about to read concerns certain events that occurred in the early days of my life. It all happened over 170 years ago. For many of you, it may sound like a tall tale, because I am no older today than I was back there in the year 1832. But this is no whopper I'm telling. It is a story about my boyhood as a slave and my fated encounter with the amazing Tall John from beyond Africa, who could read dreams, fly between galaxies, and make friends with any animal, no matter how wild. There are many things in the world that most people don't know about. For instance, when I was young, nobody ever dreamed that there would be radios and televisions and powerful jet planes that could fly across the ocean in only a few hours. But all of those things are possible back then, even though nobody knew about it. My story is like that. It's about science that seems like magic even today, and about the barbaric practice of slavery that so many of our ancestors had to endure. I'm putting down these words because I'm the only one left alive who remembers what it was like to be a slave in the land of the free, the United States. And I think that it is important for other people to understand what this experience was like. I made an oath all those years ago not to inform the general population about the science I was exposed to back then, but I don't think that by telling this tale I will be breaking my vow, because most people who read these words won't believe in the incredible inventions that were revealed to me by Tall John. You have to have quite an imagination to believe in his sonship or his powers over dreams. I hope that you will enjoy this tale of adventure and daring do. But even as you thrill to the dangers and valiant trials of the heroes that lived back then, I hope you will get a little understanding of what it was like to live as a slave at that time. Slavery might be the most unbelievable part of this whole story, but I assure you, it really happened. Equal parts history and tall tale, this engaging story told by an endearing narrator is so full of dramatic tension that few readers will realize that they're learning something too. This book is literally unlike any I have ever read. It is funny, it has twists and turns that you won't see coming, and it has lessons you thought you had already learned. This book can be read by younger audiences from middle to high school. The book is small and the story is short, but you will fall in love with the characters and the imagery and the tall tale story that Walter Mosley, the author, weaves. The quintessential summer teen novel, Tangled, is a book that will both make you laugh and make you choke up a little. It follows the summers of 4 very different teens whose lives unintentionally cross and entangle them together in a way no one expects. They all see themselves in the world in a way that is different from each of the other characters, and the way the author brings their stories together will have you tangled in the pages until the very end. Jenna is a regular teenage girl who loves to read about romance, but has never experienced it herself. Sky is a gorgeous and rich entitled New York teen whose perfect life is slipping into darkness. Dakota is the stereotypical hunky jerk who needs to face the truth about a devastating event in his past to overcome his jerk tendencies. And Owen is a scrawny teen who always seems to come in last, unless he is being his alter persona on his slightly famous blog, Loser with a Laptop. From confused to confident and back again, one thing's certain: 4 months after it all begins, nothing will ever be the same for them. Paradise sucked until I found the suicide note. And then it didn't suck at all. It was so good, in fact, that I thought maybe my entire life was finally going to change. And then, that last night, everything tanked. But somehow, over the next few months, my life did begin changing. That's jumping way ahead, though. I should start at the beginning, when my mom told me we were going to Paradise in the first place. "Is Dad sleeping?" my mom asked as she flopped onto the couch next to me. "I think so," I said. "My dad works at the junior high 3 towns away and has to wake up by 5:15 every morning. I haven't heard from him in a while." My mom kicked off her shoes and hoisted her feet onto the coffee table. "So he didn't tell you?" "Tell me what?" I asked, vacuum sucking a fleck of Fruit Loops out of my braces. "Where we're going for spring break," my mom said, smiling. "Where who's going?" "You and me, Jenna," my mom said. "We're going to Paradise, a 5-star resort in the Caribbean." What? Before I could question the amount of Chardonnay my mom had consumed, she went on to explain how, at dinner tonight, Lucy mentioned that she'd reserved an enormous suite at Paradise next week and had tons of extra room, and we should tag along. And so my mom whipped out her cell phone and called my dad, who bought the plane tickets and kept it a secret from me all evening. I was speechless. My mom never whips out her cell phone. My dad doesn't splurge on last-minute plane tickets. I wanted to ask my mom, how come we're in a parallel universe where my life is exciting and my parents are cool? But something else was heavy on my mind. "Is Sky coming?" I asked. "Of course," my mom said. "That's the whole point." "The whole point?" "Lucy and I will get time together, and you and Sky can run around and have fun." For one, I don't run. Not on a track, not on a treadmill, and certainly not with Sky Wainscott. Lucy's daughter is 17 and beautiful and lives in Manhattan and has a gorgeous boyfriend, and to top it off, she has appeared in commercials and on TV shows. Ever since we were little, we've been stuck together when our moms hang out. But what the moms don't understand is that Sky basically ignores me. I scooped up some cereal and thought about how Paradise could go 2 ways. Paradise 1. Sky and I would bond, she'd finally decide it was worthwhile, and I in turn would cease my verbal diarrhea. Everything I said would sound suave and sophisticated. We go jogging on the beach and meet guys everywhere we went, and I'd get a butterscotch tan and my butt would miraculously become toned. Or more realistically, Paradise Lost. Sky would blow me off, my life would remain pathetic. This is the real world, not a Nora Roberts novel, so I had a sneaking suspicion it'd be option number 2. But sometimes, by the flickering glow of the TV screen, it's nice to dream a little. This is an easy summer read that may start off slow, but will have you hooked in no time. The stories are very relatable, and the voices of each of the characters is very distinct. This book is recommended for high schoolers, as the themes are more about what that age group deals with. Carolyn Mackler, an award-winning author, offers a dynamic tale of 4 wholly different yet totally relatable teens whose lives intersect in fascinating and touching ways. Naomi Soledad Leon Outlaw knows that she's good at things, like worrying, making lists, and soap carvings. She's not really like her classmates, and she doesn't seem to fit in because of where she lives and what she wears. Naomi is convinced her name is her biggest problem until something even bigger comes and unravels her unassuming life with her brother and grandmother. In an effort to make things right, Naomi and her small makeshift family take an adventure to Mexico. Here she will learn about her roots and how to be brave enough to fit her first name. Pam Munoz-Ryan, the author, creates a beautiful coming-of-age story that is perfect for those readers in middle school. I always thought the biggest problem in my life was my name, Naomi Soledad Leon Outlaw. But little did I know that it was the least of my troubles, or that someday I would live up to it. It had been a double month of Sundays since Graham, Owen, and I were knitted together snug as a new mitten. I can point a stick, though, at the exact evening we started to unravel, at the precise moment when I felt that like that dog in an old Saturday morning cartoon, the one where the mutt wears a big woolly sweater, and a fox runs up and pulls a hanging down piece of yarn. Then the fox races off with it, undoing the tidy stitches one by one. Pretty soon the poor dog is bare to its skin, shivering, and all that had kept it warm is nothing more than a bedraggled string. We had already put away the dinner dishes from Wednesday chicken bake, and Owen started racing through his second grade homework like a horse on a tear. People were usually fooled by his looks and thought he was low in school due to being born with his head tilted to one side and scrunched down next to his shoulder. It had straightened a little after 3 surgeries at the Children's Hospital, but he still talked with a permanent frog voice because of something inside being pinched. One of his legs was shorter than the other, so he walked like a rocking horse. But other than that, he was just fine. Contrary to people's first opinions, he got the best grades in his class. Graham, in her usual polyester pantsuit and running shoes, was doing her weekly hair set, and I mulled over my sorry situation at school, which was 3 boys in my 5th grade class who had decided that Outlaw was the funniest last name in the universe. They did not give me an ounce of peace. Suddenly, there was a knock. The knocking became a pounding and someone yelled, "Anyone home?" Graham opened the door. She narrowed her eyes like she was trying to focus real hard. While I cleaned up, I craned my neck to see who was standing on the step. "Well, aren't you going to invite me in?" Graham truly looked like she'd seen an apparition, which is what she calls a ghost. She finally stepped aside and a lady walked in, pulling a big black plastic garbage bag that she had to tug through the small door opening. She wore jeans, red boots, a black leather jacket, and a hefty splash of sweet gardenia perfume. Her hair looked like that crayon called maroon, the one that's not purple and not red, but something in between. And for some reason, I couldn't take my eyes off her lipstick. It was the exact same color as her hair and went up and down in a perfect rounded M on her top lip. The lady looked at Owen and me and said in a sing-song way, "Hi." "Naomi, Owen," she said, "get yourselves on over here and give me a hug." Slowly, Graham shook her head back and forth, still looking dazed. "You can't just waltz in here after all these years and expect these children to recognize you." "Don't be silly," said the lady. "Children always know their mother. Don't you, darlings?" Now, in your local library news. Libraries all over Fairfax County are having teen reading groups. Each group has a different theme with special guests, snacks, and tons of fun. Register today on the Fairfax County Public Library website. Thanks again for joining me to get the buzz on books. I really want your feedback, so leave a comment on YouTube or a post on Facebook. I would love ideas, comments, suggestions, and your own book reviews. Tune in again next week for more books, more awesome stories, and more summer adventures. Stay cool out there and happy reading.